We'll call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. I first want to acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory and that the land on which we are meeting is the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. As a council and a municipality, we will continue to work on moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. I'll ask for a motion for the adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolve that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on June 12th, 2023 be adopted as circulated.
It's moved by Councillor Doyle, seconded by Councillor Meyer. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have a couple of delegations on the agenda tonight. Our first delegation is a virtual delegation. I'd like to welcome from CAMA, which is Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators, Jamie Nagy. Can you hear me, Jamie? We just can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Sure can.
Thanks for having me.
So you're welcome. I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll give you the floor and you let us know about the video if you want us to play or you're going to do it, etc.
Sure, yeah. If you could play it just at the end of my notes here, that would be great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, well, good afternoon, Mayor Knox, council members, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jamie Nagy, CAMA board representative for Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and also the CAO for the town of Langham, Saskatchewan. Thank you, Nathan, for your membership and your support of our association. It was great to have you at the conference and in attendance at the awards ceremony in Deerhurst. Each year, CAMA recognizes the value of excellence and professionalism in municipal administration through the annual awards program in 4 areas of program excellence: innovation, environmental leadership and sustainability, professional development and collaboration with external organizations and municipalities. Awards are presented to local governments and their chief administrators in recognition of their creative and successful programs, projects, or services. The annual awards program has been designed to encourage excellence in the art of professional municipal administration. Success stories are circulated widely to provide CAMA members and other local government managers with new ideas that may prove useful for implementation in their own communities. The Collaboration Award of Excellence recognizes an exemplary partnership of an innovative collaborative initiative where the outcome has demonstrated mutual benefits to all partners. The collaboration must result in one or more of the following outcomes: a significant improvement in service to both partners, developed new or improved processes, and improved the quality of life for residents. The award for collaboration of municipalities is for a CAMA member municipality that has partnered with one or more municipalities that are also CAMA members or non-CAMA members or a combination of both. The following evaluation criteria were used by the committee when reviewing the submissions: the extent that the program, project, or service involves innovation, creativity, and exemplifies a significant change, its impact on the profession of municipal administration, the potential of a program, project, or service possesses to enhance the practices of administrators elsewhere and the degree of their transferability to other local governments, the impact of the program, project, or service on the municipality and on the organization, even if the innovation itself is not new to the profession, the sustainability of the results, their long-lasting positive measurable effects on the success of the organization, the promotion of overall engagement and or cooperation, working together to achieve a common goal, the overall impact and quality of the final product, and demonstrated evidence that all partners contributed to the project. This year's winner of the Collaboration Award with Municipalities is the City of Portage la Prairie and the Rural Municipality of Portage la Prairie for your regional childcare project. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind playing the video, that would be great.
Jamie? Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. We are quite thrilled, and we actually have the award with us here. I think we can speak as a council too, that we were very honored to have our two favorite administrators, Nathan Pito from the city and Nettie Newdorf, our former CAO from the RM of Portage, represent our communities at CAMA. We're very proud of the work they do. So this is our award. I'll pass it around if anybody wants to see it. Does any council have any questions or comments for Jamie? No? Thanks for
Again,
coming.
thanks for having me and congratulations on the award.
Awesome. Go, you can see it. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, we have another delegation for West End Saskatchewan Avenue pedestrian crossing. We have Shane Zapanesh. No, I'm going to do it again. Zapatoshny. Thank you, Shane. If you could just say your name into the microphone for record too, please. And then the floor is yours. Oh.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and staff, and for the opportunity to voice and listen to my concerns. My name is Shane Zapatoshny. I'm a current resident of Portage la Prairie of 13 years, and I reside at 74 15th Street Northwest here in town. I'm here to bring attention to a safety concern regarding the lack of a safe pedestrian crossing across Saskatchewan Avenue in Portage la Prairie's West End. I did submit a few slides. If we'd be able to pull one of those up, that'd be great. The first one, I guess. So there's two areas of concern. The first one, between the North Service Road, or South Service Road, sorry, and the eastbound lanes of Saskatchewan Avenue. There is also an existing crossing at 24th Street. Both have countdown pedestrian signals allowing crossing Saskatchewan Avenue, but both lack in safety. The path at the northeast quadrant adjacent to Saskatchewan Avenue and Sissons Drive has a path that leads to a sidewalk which crosses Sissons Drive, then leads to an existing median crosswalk between the east and westbound lanes of Saskatchewan Avenue. And that's, if you can skip to the next slide, please. So here you can clearly see the sidewalk between the east and westbound lanes. Once across the eastbound lanes, pedestrians and cyclists are faced with a large ditch that may contain water, which forces them to utilize the shoulder as an alternate route west on Saskatchewan Avenue to 24th Street. This is a busy intersection with many southbound vehicles making right turn movements from 24th Street onto eastbound Saskatchewan Avenue. With the support of many residents, we would like to see a crossover built to extend the crossing between Saskatchewan Avenue and the Saskatchewan Avenue eastbound lanes and the South Service Road. I spoke with someone from City Engineering here and was told there was talk of similar ideas in previous years, but the project did not progress due to lack of funding. The other second area that I was concerned about was on the next slide, please. Just on the east side of the railway tracks, where the current paved path behind Sobeys comes up to Saskatchewan Avenue, there's no barrier that separates the sidewalk from the path from the shoulder of the highway, which in my opinion, something as simple as some polypost delineators that are stuck to the ground there just to create a barrier. I know I've looked at some of the plans that Saskatchewan Avenue is going through with the upgrades up to the west end. It does show a little bit of a path that is parallel with Saskatchewan Avenue, but it doesn't really go into detail if there's going to be a separation between the shoulder of the road and the path itself that comes around there. I know with the increase in fuel cost and general cost of living, more people are using the active transportation, especially with the number of immigrants who have settled in our city that may not be able to afford a vehicle. Hotels, a school, a church, and various other businesses on the south side of Saskatchewan Avenue. Our children, employees, and customers and patrons all need a safe location to cross. I'm asking council to be proactive and find money in the budget to make this a priority before this becomes a reaction to a tragedy. And that's
Thank
my
you.
concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Councillor Porter?
Yep, sorry, I just have, just to clarify, that area concern number 2 is the one that goes through the ditch, right?
Not quite through the ditch. No, this is area concern 2. This is the
Oh, sorry,
area concern 1. It's the
one is the ditch.
that goes through the
Right.
ditch. That's the one that's more, I think, more important is having a safe crossing to get to the south side.
Right, and that's the one kind of located across from West Park School?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
I can speak to that. I know that we have put some applications in for funding to add to our pathway all the way out to, say, West Park School, because this is a concern that we've heard before.
Okay.
So we're hopeful that we'll see that funding come through, but does maybe administration have any comments?
I could speak to that, Your Worship, and through to the presenter. So there has been applications through federal transportation. So essentially our Saskatchewan Avenue project mainly ends at Elm Street, which is the entry to the co-op parking lot. That's Elm Street. When we brought up our Saskatchewan Avenue project, residents and people who attend West Park School and community members brought up, well, you're sort of bringing it to co-op, but obviously there's still pedestrian traffic to West Park School, which I've been in that area and I've seen how the kids cross, and I think your example of children crossing and people crossing is very accurate. So the application that we put into the federal government allows for a pathway continuing the active transportation network, which again is a separate pathway from the road, there is a barrier from the road, and that would cross on the south part of your eastbound lanes all the way basically to the service road, which would address some of your concerns that you have. You still have some concerns from the north traffic crossing the railway in terms of delineators. We don't have that in any other areas, but I did cycle through this area not too long ago, and I recognize that this seems to be fairly tight to the road. So I would encourage council to give administration the opportunity to take in the information from this presentation and then respond to the presenter on behalf of council.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Right, thank you.
we appreciate your very clear also presentation to us. So
Thank you very much.
thank you. Take care. Okay, we will move into public hearings. The first public hearing I will open as a conditional use of PC 35-23 Portage Arc Industries, Inc., 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue. I will ask if there is anyone here to speak in favor of the public hearing. Great. Do you want to just come to the podium and state your name for the record?
First time here. Good evening, Mayor Cox and council people. My name is Tara Risner. I'm the Executive Director of Portage Arc Industries. We understand the variance. I'm going to explain a little bit about Portage Arc for people that really don't know who we are, and then I'll get right into the variance issue. So over the past 50 years, our nonprofit organization has been dedicated to providing care, support, and training to individuals with disabilities. We've also been a source of employment for many families in Portage and the surrounding area. As we continue to grow, we're now looking to expand our services by offering an opportunity for the individuals we support to become entrepreneurs and run a small hot dog cart business. We believe that this new venue will not only provide a source of income for our participants, but also encourage a more inclusive opportunity for them to interact with the community. Our goal is to foster confidence in our participants and help them develop skills that will lead to success at their own level and potentially help them towards employment in our community. To ensure the success of this project, we are looking to acquire new sea cans to store our hot dog cart, picnic tables, and any other outdoor equipment. We understand there have been some concerns about the appearance of the sea can, but we have come up with a solution that will hopefully address these concerns. We would be willing to put a privacy fence in front of the sea can, very similar to those that are in front of Tim Hortons parking lot. but also obviously a little higher. And also adding flower pots to the fence to make it look more attractive. Maybe put in some herbs that we use within our kitchen program, work it between both. We believe this will improve the overall appearance of the area, but also provide a comfortable place for people to come and sit when they're there. Additionally, we'd also like to put a chain link fence between the sea can and the wall on both sides, east and west, with a gate on the west side so we can get back there, because we don't want people, because there is the 10 feet, so there's the 3 feet, or the 10 meters at 3 feet. We don't want people going back there sleeping, doing anything illegal, hiding out. And we would put rocks down there so that it wasn't grass, so we can get in there to check anything out and be chain link so we can see in. We're in the process of also building a bench with flower pots to put in the area to make it look a little bit more nice and a comfortable place for people to sit. And we'll be updating all our flower beds. We have ripped out all the shrubs, except the one shrubs by the front of the building, which still have car parking things in there from the car stops that were put there during the cleanup and haven't been gone, so we really can't get into it to clean it up yet. So we'll be putting flower beds and just maybe grassing the whole area off, just to make it, to clean it up. At our last board meeting, I was able to get approval to update the building, by cleaning it up and repainting it. We decided to go with the dark gray color over all the burgundy and then keep the building of body white. We are really excited about this update, and I think it'll give the building a fresh look. We understand these changes will take time, but we believe they're necessary to improve the appearance of the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Wisner? Councillor Doyle?
Hi, thank you for coming and thank you for your presentation. I just have a question about the size of the shipping container you plan on using.
It will be 8 feet wide. Don't remember everything. It'll be 8.5 feet tall, 8 feet wide, and 20 feet long. So it's not a full size. It's going to be brand new, so it's not going to be a full size one. And just enough where it would actually corner the building and come to the end of the actual concrete pad that goes east to west.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Ms. Wisner, for coming and presenting. Certainly, I just want to say I certainly appreciate your organization. I'm well aware of the work and so on that you do. I do have a concern, of course, of the aesthetics regarding a container. That's why there is a conditional use request that's put through for that. You did mention, and I appreciate you addressing it, you did mention in regards to the barrier that you would put in front, would there be a low-level fence? Is that the only solution that you've come up with,
No,
or
we
would there
would put
be
the barrier pretty much right in front of the sea can and cover the whole sea can.
Okay, that would cover just the front of it, am I right in assuming
the
that?
side, though, we have to have access to the side.
No, I
And
get
if I put a fence, then it's going to come. I wanted to put the fence between where the sea can ends to the building, because there's that area back there.
Okay, so I'm just having trouble picturing that, but I think I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, but you would be prepared, would you be prepared to do anything else in regards to covering the top and the sides? I'm just asking if you've thought of that at all. Make
We
it
haven't
look
really
like,
thought about the sides. We need to be able to get in to access.
I get that one side, yeah. But it's the top and the back and the other side that goes with it, you said. Is that the
Yeah.
fence line?
Yeah, like the
Okay.
back is pretty much to the building. Well, not to the building. There's access to the building, so it faces the building. The building
Okay,
juts out like this and this. So the sea can is it's here, it'd be against the building. And see where it has there. So it's that one side is facing the building.
mm-hmm,
The other side would have the actual opening.
mm-hmm,
And what I wanted to do was the 3 meters from the side of the container to the building, the back of the container, put that fence there so people couldn't get back there. Because we have on the side buildings between us and Silver Screen Door, we find all sorts of stuff there. We've found needles. It's a very dark place.
So just so I can clarify, a couple of things is when we're talking about the fence, I think discussion is that the purpose is that the view from Saskatchewan Avenue
Would be blocked.
will be blocked with the fence so that it goes with the decor. And then maybe you could just talk a little bit about what all you're putting in that sea can on a daily basis, so for your operation.
I'm getting picnic tables that out of the compost siding that fold up to 4 inches. So those will be taken in and hung up every day. The umbrellas, the hot dog cart. We have a lawnmower that we'd put in there, a 2-wheel bike, and a barbecue. That's it. The things that take up lots of room in our shop when we need movement, especially now that we have more people with wheelchairs trying to move around.
Thank you. Any other?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think that answers my question.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. You can have a seat then. Is there anyone else here in favor to speak of the application? Anyone here to speak against the application? Is there any letters to be read out?
No, there are no letters.
Thank you. Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you. I will ask for, if there's nothing else from council at this point, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for conditional use PC 35-23 for Portage Arc Industries, Inc. at 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, in front of you, in relationship to the presentation that we just received, is a request for a conditional use for Portage Arc Industries. So the issue, as we're aware, is to allow for a shipping container in a C3 Avenue commercial zone. And the alternatives, of course, that we have is to approve it as presented, approve it with conditions, or to deny the conditional use itself. So the background, as indicated, is that Portage Arc Industries has applied to for a conditional use to allow for that shipping container within that area. It is zoned C3, which is Avenue Commercial Zone, and does require a conditional use in order to do that. In the past, there's been 2 approvals in similar situations, and the minute references were there, of course, for your reference. There is a sketch that shows not only the container, but shows the distance to the building and the where it's located within the site, in addition to the dimensions as well. So the application was circulated to various city departments. The concerns regarding the aesthetics of the shipping container were brought forth. There were public notices that have been sent to all property owners within that 100-meter radius, but there have been no objections. So with that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of Portage Arc Industries, Inc. to allow for a shipping container in a C3 Avenue commercial zone at the property 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as lots 9, 11, Plan 15, Parish of Portage la Prairie, with the condition that the final design and layout be approved by the city manager.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as you say, as empathetic I am, obviously, and supportive of the organization, and obviously they're trying to find ways in order to improve things, and a shipping container to me just draws a couple issues. I understand the fact, Council, that they have come up with some type of a remedy that does block the front of it off, so you're not seeing it from Saskatchewan Avenue. My concern is twofold. One is this is why we have a conditional use on this, so it gives Council the opportunity to be able to approve it or not approve it, or to amend it. My concern is not only the front part, which I think I can live with that, but the side part and the back part as well, that there's still visible shipping container from residential side streets, back alleys, and so on. I can certainly, in this motion here, or the way the motion is worded, I don't support it. I would support it with us having the ability to at least see one more final drawing of exactly how it would be presented in order to aesthetically cover up that container itself. I do know that the final design and layout will be approved by the city manager, but I still would like council to see it. So that said, Madam Mayor, I would like to make a friendly amendment to the motion, is that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of Portage Arc Industries, Inc. to allow for a shipping container in a C3 Avenue commercial zone at the property 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as lots 9, 11, Plan 15, Parish of Portage la Prairie, with condition that the final design be presented to City Council and approved by Council as per se. I'm not sure if I worded that exactly right. Not that I don't trust our city manager's situation in any way, shape, or form, but I would just like to see one final. We're spending, just to add to that, Council, before you do a seconder on it, is we're spending $44 million on a project, and as much as I respect what it is, I just don't think it's the place for a shipping container. But I can live with the amendments if they do that. Do we have a seconder?
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any comments on the question? Can we speak to the amendment? Yeah, excellent. Anyone want to speak to the amendment? I'll speak to the amendment. I also have complete concerns about how the project looks, and but I'm also very much in support of this project. I've been following along ARC Industries on trying to do this for a while, so I'm very excited that they're moving forward. And I think that planning and our administration has done the necessary, and by putting in the piece of it that it has to go through final approval from our administration, and I trust that, you know, they're aware of what our vision is for Saskatchewan Avenue, and that they'll make that the right decision before they approve this. So I will not be in favor of the amendment. Anyone else? Councillor Nichols?
Thanks, Your Worship. Can I ask a question for clarification? So the first motion was that it would be approved as it is, or would it be subject to administration and approval? So that was with the first motion.
The first motion reads that has to be, sorry, I just have to look.
Thank you.
First motion reads that the final design and layout be approved by our city manager. Anything else? Councillor
Just a
Massey?
question, Your Worship. Maybe Councillor Meyer, I'm just trying to understand the process here. You're wanting a final design look to come to council after the city manager. I'm just not quite clear on that extra step we need and why we need it. So if you could just expand on that.
Fair enough. Thank you, Councillor Massey, through Madam Mayor. I guess I can back up, but we're still working on a motion that's on the floor that we don't need to approve it. I guess my concern is that we have this thing covered, that it does not look like a container from any sides. I understand the entrance, right? And I understand the doors, and you can't do that, and that wouldn't be visible from the city. But with a barrier in the front, but nothing on the side because it's chain link and nothing behind, it still looks like a shipping container within that area in that region. So if this motion doesn't get passed, I'm going to make a different motion because I certainly do support that maybe this city does not need to be involved, council, that the decision can be made by the city manager if they know what our direction is. So my direction on that one would actually be that all three sides are at least covered up to the fact that it doesn't look like a shipping container. But that said, we're still on the amendment of this one.
We're still voting on the amendment. So does everybody understand the amendment? Okay. All those in favor? That's denied.
I'll vote against it. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make another amendment.
Okay.
That the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of Portage Industries, Inc. to allow for a shipping container in a C3 Avenue commercial zone at the property 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as lots 9, 11, Plan 15, Parish of Portage la Prairie, with the condition that the shipping container be covered on the three visible sides, and that final design and the layout be approved by the city manager. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Is there any questions or comments on that? Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. When we're describing covered, could it be like in a form of it has to be covered physically is what, please? Thank you, Your Worship.
Just for clarification, it's just that it does not, when you look at it, you don't see it as a shipping container, whether it's a fence, a wood fence, or whatever it is at that point. That doesn't concern me, and again, I trust our administration, our city manager, to follow that up as well.
A mural?
That's where
Nathan? Mr. Pito?
If I could speak, and I recognize there's an amendment on the floor, but if it's with the permission of the chair, if I could speak to the general issue, this is an unusual motion put forward by administration. The reason it was put forward by administration the way it was we recognize the council would probably like to see this industry or this organization have the ability to have storage. We recognize that shipping container has some aesthetic values that go against significant public investment on Saskatchewan Avenue, and there would be concerns. So the motion reads by approval of the city manager. It's not because I'm personally a design expert by any means, but what I would say is what I would be happy to work with ARC Industries, go over some design recommendations that they bring forward, and I would be more than happy to have an informal discussion with council before approval is granted. The reason it's worded somewhat vaguely right now is that we thought it would be difficult for council to specify all the specific things and sides and different ways and modes they'd like to be covered. So what I would say, if it would help put council's mind at ease on this issue, is that I would be happy to work with ARC Industries. I did do a call prior to this hearing to try and encourage to find solutions that I anticipated coming up. So I'd be happy to work with ARC Industries to bring forward a design that would make it look more aesthetically appeasing. And then I would be happy to informally get council's approval before that authorization went forward. So by keeping the original motion, and I respect Councillor Meyer's efforts to put more specifics in it, I think I can still give council an opportunity to have input and still achieve the objectives that everyone's looking for. So my comment.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. And just to clarify, not to belabor the issue, but you're suggesting, again, through to our city manager, that the original motion would suffice with what we're trying to discuss here right now?
Through your worship, to Councillor Meyer, and I respect we are talking about the amendment, that administration would be happy to commit to consult with council before approval was given. On the original motion, I believe it would suffice, correct?
Thank you, Your Worship. Do we have a second on that amendment yet? If not, then
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do have a second? Okay.
Yes, we do. So we'll vote on the amendment.
I will be voting against the amendment.
Yeah. Does everybody understand the amendment? All those in favor? That is denied. So we're going to go back to our original motion that we have on the table. Is everybody ready to vote on that? Great. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
Your Worship, for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we have a second public hearing that I'll open. It's a request for variation PC 36-23. Again, Portage Arc Industries at 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue. Sorry. I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the motion or of the public hearing. If you just want to come to the podium and state your name.
Tara Risner.
Thank you. Do you have a statement to make, or you just want to be here to answer questions?
I can answer questions.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions? No? Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against the public hearing application? Is there any letters to be read out?
No, there are no letters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion to. Council have any questions or comments before we close the public hearing? Okay. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Portage Arc in. Oh, sorry. Jumping ahead here just a little bit. Sorry. Be it resolved that the public hearing for conditional use PC 3523 Portage. Am I on the right one? Just a minute here. There we go. Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for variation PC 3623 for Portage Arc Industries, Inc., 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. This follows on the heels of the conditional use. Of course, if the conditional use is passed as it was, there's a request for variation because of the size of the lot, what needs to be done. So the issue for PC 3623 for Portage Arc Industries, the variation issue is to vary the side yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced to 4.2 meters for a shipping container accessory building when on a corner lot. The background, which we've already had discussion on a little bit, is Portage Arc Industries is applying for variation in order to vary the side requirements. The building is in a C3 Avenue commercial zone. Council has approved similar requests in the past, and the minutes are there for your reference. The site plan and the drawings are there as well, and the application has been circulated to various city departments. There have been no concerns in regards to that, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. There's been no objections. With that said, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Portage Arc Industries, Inc., to vary the side yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced to 4.2 meters for a shipping container at the property known as 1675 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as lots 911, Plan 15 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any questions or comments on this from council? All those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Move into Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has no report at this point in the meeting.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development has nothing to report at this point, but I do have a building report coming up.
Perfect. Thank you. Community Services Committee. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Community Services Committee has nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee. Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing to report at this time of the meeting.
Thank you. Transportation Committee. Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation Committee has nothing to report until further down in committee.
Thank you. And Public Safety Committee. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety Committee has nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. We have no deferred business. We'll move right into new business. We have our 2022 audited financial statements. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship, and colleagues. This evening, I'm pleased to bring forward the and have approval of the audited consolidated financial statements for the 12-month period ending December 31, 2022 for our city. As you know, Portage la Prairie, the 2022 financial results supported surpluses of $1.2 million for the general fund and $1.4 million for the utility fund, comparable to pre-audit results, which we saw on March 27th, 2023. Surpluses will be allocated as follows. For the general fund, the 2022 surplus will be allocated to the general reserve to fund a large portion of the $3.3 million in capital requests for the 2024 year as identified on the city's 10-year capital plan. And on the utility side, for the utility fund, the 2022 surplus will be allocated to the utility reserve to fund a portion of the $14.6 million in capital assets or capital requests for 2024 identified on the 10-year capital plan, which includes major plant upgrades. So we have surpluses, and great news for our year-end audit that we will be putting forward to our capital programs. The city continues to be committed to its community by investing in the upgrade and addition of the new tangible capital assets. $22.7 million in new tangible assets were added in 2022, with the largest investments being made in infrastructure. And I think we all see the great investments we are putting into our community to improve our infrastructure. The city's contracted and independent auditors, BDO Canada LLP, have met with the council to review and answer questions regarding the draft financial statements in further detail as is standard audit practice. Upon council approval, the final 2022 financial statements will be filed with the province of Manitoba and posted on the city's public website. So I think we all heard in our briefing, this was a clean audit, a good audit for our city. And I want to give thanks to our administration for the due diligence they do to our finances. You see many municipalities that struggle with financial audits, and our city has now got a very clean audit for this year. So congratulations to our city administrative staff. So, Your Worship, I'm prepared to move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the audited consolidated financial statements for the 12 months ended December 31, 2022.
Thank you. That's moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? I'll just add kudos to our finance department. We know it's our Ms. Sadney's first year as the director here to do it, and so we heard good reports from the auditor. So to you and your team, kudos for doing that. Great. All those in favor? And that's carried. Another item of new business, we have our May building reports. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think as council knows by now, is my role as chair of economic development. This is probably the best report that you actually get, because it's the real numbers shoveled to the ground. So being brief and that, obviously I draw your attention to the combined totals for the month, which of course is reflective of our region and the ability of us to work together through planning. In short, you're going to find that new single homes are up a little bit, new double homes are up a little bit. The commercial new is down a little bit year over year, but you're also going to see that there's a ton of repair permits as well. So it shows you that commercial enterprises that are investing back into their businesses, which is a real strength for our city. I just also want to point out that the biggest bulk of it, last year there was 16 million with 84 permits, this year 88 permits with 36 million, but the bulk of that, of course, is the hospital that you're going to see with the $23.5 million in new permits there as well. The only other thing I want to point out, which we described, or maybe I described at one time, as a cottage industry, no pun intended, was for RTMs, ready to move homes that are being developed within our region and our area. You're going to see that it's no longer a cottage industry. It's a pretty significant industry within our area and so on. And you'll see the values and the sizes of those increase as well. So in closing, permits are roughly a little bit ahead of where they were last year, but the dollar value is certainly more than double. So just really does excite me when I see that, and it means that we're certainly moving in the right direction.
Great.
Any
Thank
questions?
you. Any questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. We have another item of new business, Prairie Fusion authorization form for ACSC grant application. Just have to tell me. So we're going to ask Councillor Nichols to take this on. Councillor Doyle?
I'd just like to declare a potential conflict, so I'll just step out of the room.
Thank you. Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. In representing Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, what I have here is a report to Council, and the issue is to approve Prairie Fusion Arts and Entertainment Incorporated.
Sorry, Councillor Nichols. Sorry, it's Community Services.
Thank you.
That's okay.
To approve the Prairie Fusion and Arts and Entertainment Incorporated's grant application for renovations to city-owned building. That's our issue. What you have in front of us is the report to council, and also there's a report there that is submitted for the building owner and an agreement through Prairie Fusion. You'll see that on the second page. To move forward with it, alternatives one is to approve the grant application or to not approve. So the analysis is that Prairie Fusion Arts and Entertainment Incorporated is applying for a $25,000 grant under the province of Manitoba's Arts, Culture, and Sport in Community Program for the replacement of the atrium floor in their space in the William Gillespie Center at 11 2nd Street Northeast. This is a city-owned building, and a specific council resolution approving the project is required to accompany their grant application as follows. So I so move, and it's the administrative recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie acknowledges that it is expected that the Prairie Fusion Arts and Entertainment Incorporated organization will continue as a tenant for a period of at least 5 years from the expected completion date of their atrium floor replacement project, and gives consent to work proposed in their grant application to Manitoba Sport, Culture, and Heritage through their arts, cultural, and sport in community program. Council recognizes the full financial implications from the development of the project and acknowledges that the provincial government will not be responsible for any further financial assistance other than the grant being requested. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Massey. Thank you. And you were correct in the way the report was written, Councillor Nichols. So, but it is under, we
Thank
are
you.
under community services right now. So, does anybody have any questions or comments?
I might say that it's for a $25,000 grant as well, and that wasn't into the, so in there is a what they call it's an agreement, and for the amount of $25,000 is the piece of funding that they are going forward with.
Thank you. Are you just saying that as in just point of information? Not in your motion?
Sorry, no, not my motion.
thank
It's
you.
a separate page here that would that speaks to that piece, the agreement.
Perfect. Okay. All those in favor? Councillor Nichols. Oh, thank you. That's carried. Thank you. Just bring back Councillor Doyle. I think he's in here. He was in here. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have another item of new business, an award of tender for the disposal of lime waste residuals, and this is Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. And this is a report to council from Waterworks Committee under new business. And what it is the issue is to award tender number 23 OPS 022 for the disposal of lime, sludge, and waste residuals for the City of Portage la Prairie Water Treatment Plant. So the alternatives are to award the tender to EF Moon Construction Limited, award the tender to another bidder, or do not award the tender. The tender was posted on MERC's website and electronically on the city webpage. The tender closed at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, June 20th at 2023. 14 copies of the tender were sent out and 3 submissions were received. The tender has followed the procurement tender process, and the rated criteria are set at 50 points for qualifications experience, 10 points for sustainability factor, 10 points for past relationship with the city, and 30 points for pricing for 100 total points. The submitted tenders were evaluated, and then the bid prices and points were awarded as follows. EF Moon Construction, and when we go through it, for the total bid price net of GST for $756,000. The Cinnaboid Injections for $781,920, and Meston Construction for the total bid price net GST of $844,830. And this was submitted. The work involves loading, transportation, final disposal of an estimated 27,000 tons of lime softening residuals and other residuals from the waste from the water treatment plant, solids and settling pond. So the contractor is required to provide all equipment and personnel to load, transport, and dispose of the lime sludge and waste residuals while ensuring the disposal of the lime sludge and waste residuals conforms to the provincial or federal rules. So it is administrative recommendation and that of the City of Council, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the contract for the disposal of lime, sludge, and waste residuals as specified in Tender 23 OPS 022 to EF Moon Construction Limited for the tender price of $28 per ton to a maximum of $756,000 net of GST. And so I move.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments on that? Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you to Chairman Nichols for his report. Just a question, either to him or to administration, is twofold. One, is this an annual thing that we have to do every year with sludge, or is it more than once a year? And the other thing I'd be interested in hearing is a little more commentary on this price. Is it over the years? Is this a significant increase from past years, and is the amount of sludge removal significantly increasing every year? Just a bit of historical background on this for me.
Mr. Pito?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Massey, I'll ask our Director of the Utility, Mrs. Friesen, to speak to that.
Should turn green. There you
All
go.
right, now we're good. All right. Yeah, so the hauling of the lime sludge is something that has to occur typically between every 3 to 5 years. Because of the increase in water demand and water production over the last few years, we're actually doing this probably a year, potentially 2 years ahead of when we had anticipated, or since the last time was in 2020. So it is a little bit ahead of schedule, but it is something that has to be done as a planned part of the treatment process. In regard to pricing, I would have to look up the exact number from the last one. However, I know this is significantly less than what we had budgeted, but the total volume is also less than what we had anticipated. I know 3 years ago, it was a significant increase from the time before that. I think it was the demand, the type of work that was happening around the area at the time. So pricing was a bit more elevated, and this time it seems to be more in line with what we anticipated. But I could look those numbers up and get back to you.
Thank you. Councillor Porter?
I just want to have one other question here. Can you tell me where the lime sludge is being removed to?
Sure. So lime sludge at this point is hauled to the landfill. It is considered clean fill, so we pay a tipping fee based on that. The tipping rate is included in their bid price as well. But at some point we had been able to land apply it to farmland, but due to changing in regulations as well as the type of land available, it's not really an option anymore.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Pito?
If I may put Ms. Friesen on the spot too, we have been approved and are starting the engineering for an improved water treatment plant. If I could ask Ms. Friesen to mention how the change in treatment could impact something like lime sludge.
Sure. Yeah, so in the proposed upgrades to the water treatment facility, we would be switching to a membrane system as opposed to the conventional lime softening, which we have now. At that point, lime would no longer be kind of the primary treatment or relied on system. It would become blended, where the current facility would produce approximately 30% of our current water, and the new plant, for lack of better words, would be producing the other 70%. So once implemented, theoretically, we could expect the lime consumption to go down by 70%, and the lime hauling then to have to occur potentially once every 10 years, or it would go down as well by 70%.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor? And that's carried. We'll adjourn council at 6:58 p.m. and we will move right into committee. I'll call committee to order at 6:58 p.m. Start with Finance, Legislative and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Finance, Legislative and Property Committee has no report for committee this evening.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing on the agenda, although I would like to just bring up one item if I could. Whether it falls under mine or whether it falls under public safety, I'm not sure. It's related to bylaws. Lately, obviously, with the way the weather, we haven't had a lot of them, but there's been a number of unsightly yard compliance orders that certainly people have reached out in regards to. And although I don't have a lot of empathy and sympathy for a comply order, because there's obviously there for a reason, I'm just curious to see what the impetus is or what the catalyst is in order to create that thing. Is it something that bylaw actively seeks out, or is it something that is only derived by a complaint through one of our citizens within Portage la Prairie? And I'm just looking for some clarification on that, Madam Mayor.
Sure, I can speak on that, and then we'll.
Could be a combination of both.
Yeah, I think absolutely a combination of both. I know that we do have properties in our city that are of a concern from us from year to year, and that bylaw keeps an eye on them. But for the most part, it is complaints or reports from citizens in the neighborhood about unsightly properties. But also important to remember that we've talked about that we are reviewing that bylaw and trying to make changes to it, because some of those are major concerns, especially when it comes to safety in our community. And also just people who live in neighborhoods are concerned because it affects their property values, etc. And I'll just maybe check with our Director of Public Safety to see if I'm correct on all of that.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. We do both. A lot do come from complaints, but our bylaw officers are out on the streets, driving, as well as myself, checking for unsightly properties. And when we do come across them, they do receive orders.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
That's the end
Thank you.
of my report.
Perfect. Community Services, Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe this falls under your portfolio, but just a report on, as the city rep on the Chamber Board of Directors, I wanted to report. We had the privilege with our mayor and city manager to meet with their executive and talk about our ongoing dialogue on issues that are very important to the Chamber. And three main ones came out that I submitted to their board. I was not able to attend their board meeting, but did submit a written report. And first one was, of course, vehicle for hire continues to be a concern for the Portage Chamber. They would like to see some other options for vehicle for hires in our community. And we indicated to them that certainly we are working on a new bylaw for vehicle for hire that will encompass a number of changes potentially. So I think on that one, we are at least working towards something that hopefully that we can come to an agreement with the Chamber on vehicle for hire. The second issue we did talk about was the Saskatchewan Avenue update and the need for constant communication with the business community. And of course, we have continued to communicate with our businesses to try to be as clear as possible what is happening on Saskatchewan Avenue. And the Chamber felt it was really important to make sure the language of any communication was understood by the business, but also, you know, by people involved in the contractors and what they mean. Sometimes they mean different things when they say, you know, immediately or in the next little while. Some of those times they have a different interpretation. So I think on Saskatchewan Avenue, we continue to work with the Chamber on improving our communication about the status of Saskatchewan Avenue. And the last thing they inquired about is the update on the Manitoba Development Center. And of course, the city continues discussions with the province on Manitoba Development Center. And I know our mayor and city manager have been involved in those discussions. And we continue to push to make sure we can have an alternate use for that facility. And hopefully there will be some communication in the near future from the province on what we can share with our residents. But those were the three main things that our Chamber, that we talked about with the Chamber. And as I say, we continue to have good dialogue with them. They're a very, very good partner with us in many of the issues that we talk about around the council table. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll just maybe point out too on that note, and I'm not sure when the exact date is, but for those who don't know that the executive director from the Chamber is leaving, Cindy McDonald, and just want to give a shout out for all the work she's put into that organization for the last 10 years. She's not going very far, thank goodness, not leaving the community. So we're just grateful to her and wish her well in all she does in the future. So thanks to Cindy. Okay, move into Community Services Committee. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Community Services Committee has nothing to report this evening unless any of my fellow council or anyone else around the table has anything to add.
Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just a couple of quick things under your committee, Councillor Doyle. I was pleased to represent council at the Portage Habitat for Humanity official key turning ceremony to Brittany and her two sons. And I must say, I've been to a lot of things over my career, and that was one of the more moving, important things that I've attended, to see the look on their faces, her and her twin boys getting that home. And they really thanked the city of Portage a lot for their involvement in that project, and just a great addition to our community. And I think she felt very much part of our community now. And I did receive a plaque for the city, and I'd like to present that to our mayor, and hopefully it represents the good work of the city in helping that project be completed. So that's for our city.
That's great. Thank you, Councillor Massey.
And one other report on the library. We had a board meeting a few days ago, and things continue to move forward with our library. A lot of good issues that our staff are working on there. We had a preliminary discussion about the budget for our library, and looking at how we can deal with wages, with, of course, the recent increase in minimum wage, and dealing with the funding that they receive from the municipalities. So we had a good discussion on the budget, upcoming budget. We talked about a code of conduct for our library and made some proposed changes there. They are not finalized yet, but we continue to work on code of conduct for dealing with issues that happen in our library that sometimes put our staff in a very dangerous situation, or a potentially dangerous situation. They also did talk about being part of the city audit for the future, which I think is a positive thing, to see if it can be a lower cost for the audit. So I think they're looking at that with our city staff to see if they should be part of the audit, and I think they've agreed in principle to be part of our city audit. And they just continue to deal with the changes in the shelving and getting grants. It's a very positive attitude at the library about trying to make that a welcoming, safe place for people to go and take use the resources of our library. So that's for council's information, but I really am pleased with the direction our library is going, and hopefully it can continue to go. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Massey. Just under community services, I just want to give a huge shout out to the hosts and the volunteers of the 55 plus games that just happened here in Portage la Prairie. 983 athletes was the last I heard in the count. Another wonderful event that was put on, so kudos to everyone there. Next year the event is actually in Brandon, Manitoba, so exciting for them as well. And then Saturday, I spent the time out at Long Plain for their second annual Pride event, which was very well received, and Chief Wilson was there, and a number of councillors and many community members. So it was a great event. So I'm grateful for them for inviting me out there. So thank you. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Massey. And that concludes community services.
Excellent. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing for committee tonight unless somebody has something for Waterworks.
Anyone have sludge question? I'm just kidding.
Sludge question, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Sorry about that. I have a presentation here with Bike Week. I would like to invite Heather Bruce and Sorry, what's your name?
Morag Morrison. Hi, Morag.
Morag Morrison to do your Bike Week presentation. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you for having us. My name is Morag Morrison. I'm the chair of the Portage Active Transport Committee. I'm here with Heather.
So the last time we held Bike Week was in 2020. That was the only event that ran in 2020 because it was outside. So this year is kind of a reboot year. Our numbers were slightly down this year, but that's to be anticipated because, for instance, the kids at school, grade 4 kids made posters for the cookie ride. They didn't remember the cookie ride because they were in grade 1 the last time it happened. So we're in a reboot year this year, but overall it was very successful. So we have a PowerPoint.
Yeah, as Heather already said, we were back this year. No, that's okay. So we had it from May 27th to June 2nd. So we just wrapped up and today just wanted to share a little bit about it. So we can go to the next slide. I included a quote because I liked it and it fits a lot with the Active Transport Committee and what we do. So a bicycle ride around the world begins with a single pedal stroke, and Scott Stoll is someone who did bike around the world. And I really like thinking about that, especially given the amazing active transport routes we have around Portage that you've all worked so hard to create over the last number of years and are continuing to work hard to update and maintain. And I think that Bike Week is just a wonderful way to bring people out into the community to appreciate those and to kind of see the city on two pedals and two wheels. I'm not sure who's in charge of it. You okay? So I'll let Heather talk about what exactly happened.
Okay, so Saturday was our kickoff, and we think we had about 60 people, Jocelyn, something like that. And that really brings the littler kids in, the young ones, families. So there was bike rodeo, obstacle course type of deal for the little guys to go through. We had face painting, and we had a little craft corner where the kids could make handlebar streamers, and we had a hot dog lunch. So yeah, Portage Junkyard Dogs came with a couple of people to have a bike tune-up station. So that's good too for people to minor repairs, nothing major. And then Sunday was Bike to the Museum. It was, I'm going to say there was a 70-kilometer wind and it was like 35 above. So there was 6 of us that went, but it was great. We rode the back way out to the museum, and then Lorna was there with ice cream and water for us, and we had free entry into the museum, and we got tours of the museum. So it's a great event too. And Junkyard Dogs hosted the Gravel Grumble. They went south of Portage around the Rose Isle area, St. Lupison area. There's a road through there that's called Snow Valley. And in the past, there was actually downhill skiing in that area. So there were hills, which we're not used to around Portage. I didn't do it this year, but I have done it in past years, and it's just great because there is actually techniques for going up and down hills. So I think there were only about 8 people, but again, that was Sunday. It was very hot and windy. So Monday was in the afternoon, an ice cream ride. There were only 3 of us there, but we went for a ride and then we went for ice cream, so we were happy. And the art tour in the evening, Lori Makadensky, it was an outdoor art tour, so they went around various locations, and I think there were only 3, Jocelyn? Again, there were only 3 people, and generally there would be 10 to 12 on that one. Tuesday was yoga in the park, about 20 people, so that was great. And the Junkyard Dogs hosted a trail ride along the Assiniboine on their trail system. And I think I'm not sure, maybe they had 8 ranging in age from like 12 to 69. So That was good. Wednesday is the ever popular cookie ride. And thank you to youth counselor for the ice cream and cones. And Mayor Knox, in your other capacity, thank you to CPCS for carrots because we couldn't find grapes. There was the great grape shortage because we offer cookies and ice cream at the island, ice cream at La Vérendrye School, so people with little kids don't have to worry about crossing to get to the island for an ice cream cone. We had about 93 participants, and we had 15 different groups that did the entire route, which would be Crescent View, Island Park, Yellow Quill, Fort Lorraine, La Vérendrye, and home, wherever you live. So our route was 12K, so people would have done more than 12K. And we had 5 bags of ice cream sandwiches that we purchased from What's the Scoop. So we had 5 different groups win. So very happy people. Thursday was the grub crawl. So that's, you purchase a ticket, and we had 38 people had purchased tickets. So we started at Splash Island, and Jeremy Brooks had a route planned. We went into Cocoa Platts, Mellonville, down the path, and ended up at Mr. Mike's. And we had pre-ordered food. And then after that, everybody had a $5 voucher to go to What's the Scoop for ice cream. Some people, yeah, ice cream week. Some people chose not to go for ice cream, so they had their voucher to use at another time. And Friday, this was a new event, the Ladies Sunrise Ride. They met at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, went for about an hour. There was some coffee available and for people, and it was ladies only. And then that was Bike to School Day. So we had prizes for all of the schools except PCI. And then the kids that rode school entered their name in a draw, and then they, however many, like there was maybe 8-10 prizes per school, so that was good too. And we had a fairly good turnout. One of the biggest things is little kids can't ride to school unless their parents are going to ride with them or whatever. So, but yeah, and we were going to have another event that night, the Friday night ride, but thunderstorms were forecast, so we didn't do it. But hopefully next year we'll be able to do that. So yeah, it was good.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much, because that sounded like a really exciting week, and I think I'm going to have to join in next year. But I think Junkyard Dogs are going to have to buy me a bike, never mind fixing my old one up.
Well, and one other thing I should mention is we really try to highlight the bike paths, the trails, and we go down some trails that people say, oh, I didn't know that was here. So we make a point of, whenever the new ones are ready, we'll make a point of introducing those to people as well.
Well, it's perfect, and thank you. Thank you to you three, for your work with the Portage Active Transportation Committee as well. Can you tell me,
Councillor Porter?
Oh.
Sorry, I don't think they're quite done.
Oh, you're
Am
not
I
done
right?
yet? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more after
Okay,
this,
there
but,
we go.
Yeah, so on the last slide, you saw all of the Bike Week committee members. So we have the Portage Active Transportation Committee, and then we form a subcommittee for Bike Week. So thank you to all those folks. And then I also just wanted to hint at something we have upcoming. We're still dotting our I's and crossing our T's, so I can't formally share anything, but we are working to revamp the Gracie Chain. That is a community bike shop that shut down over the pandemic and hasn't come back to life yet. So we've been talking a lot about that at our meetings, and we'll have some exciting announcements soon. So you'll likely see us again pretty soon over the summer.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Sorry about that. I did know you had that, and I didn't know, maybe that's where I can get my bike fixed.
Yeah.
Never mind the new one. Well, actually, the old one's not that old, but I mean, it looks it. But anyway, I just want to thank you very much. And actually, also, I'm pretty excited about maybe we can expand on our bike, like your path going down through our new downtown area with the new bike paths too. Add that on there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a comment on that is, I know Portage Active Transportation knows about our new path on Meehan too. So thank you for sharing that. And I just want to say, I'm very happy to see you here, Morag, because I know how you became the chair of this committee. And I'm excited that you're still here because you came on as a job with her job, but you stayed on in a new capacity. So that's exciting that you're still remain as a citizen being involved. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely wanted to stay on when I was leaving my role, so I'm glad that I still can.
That's great. It's got to be the ice cream, yeah. Not the carrots. Yeah.
I do have a carrot tattoo. I love carrots very much. So
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Porter?
All right. My next thing on the agenda is a report from Transportation Committee. It's the naming of the Cenotaph Green Space Veterans Memorial Park. The issue is to consider naming the Cenotaph Green Space. It's either the issue is to either approve the request to name Veterans Memorial Park, or two, to deny the request to name Veterans Memorial Park. The background analysis is the Royal Canadian Legion Branch number 65 has requested that the green space located between 1 Saskatchewan Avenue West, where the Bank of Montreal is located, and the 9 Saskatchewan Avenue West, where the Canada Post building, to be named Veterans Memorial Park. This green space is home to the Portage Military Cenotaph, which was first erected in the corner in 1926 to honor Portage soldiers who lost their lives in the First World War. It was dismantled and reinstalled further to the east in 1961 to provide space for the construction of the Canada Post building. Over the years, plaques were added listing the names of the casualties of the Second World War and the Korean War. It is the site of the annual Remembrance Day and other memorial services, and the Legion feels that naming the space Veterans Memorial Park would be a way to honor all the veterans from the Portage la Prairie region. It is the administration recommendation, and
We'll just take this to move it into council next week for the motion. So
Okay.
this is just for information.
Okay, this is for information only.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Okay, we'll move into nothing else, Councillor Porter?
Yes, I actually have a couple other things here. It's just more of a comment or a question for management. Just regards to the Saskatchewan Avenue project, there's been numerous inquiries and questions and comments, as well as suggestions, coming with regards to the disruptions of their business. I was wondering if could management comment on this?
Mr. Pito?
Through your worship to Councillor Porter, I'll do my best to address your question. I think first to start, when we talk about Saskatchewan Avenue, we have to remember this is a $40 million project involving over 14 blocks, four lanes total, active transportation lanes, water, utility, land drainage. This is a very massive project. So I think when the previous council decided to go forward with this project, we understood that it would cause quite a level of disruption for residents and traffic, but also cause challenges for businesses as we move forward. Councillor Massey alluded our communication through the chamber, and we continue to try and improve our communication so the businesses along Saskatchewan Avenue have a really clear understanding about how or when they could be impacted. So we continue to try to improve that communication so people know what to expect. But I think all the communication in the world won't necessarily always solve the concerns of a business owner that feels that they're being impacted financially by construction. And I think council is definitely sympathetic to those concerns. We do hear from those business owners And we do understand that there are ones that, have financially feel that they've been impacted by the project. So I know I've had conversations with some of those owners. I know our director of operations had many of those conversations with those owners, and we do everything in our power to improve signage, communication. But ultimately, often the question comes up about compensation, and I just want to take an opportunity to address that. When council decided to move forward with this project several years ago, there was a discussion, as you've seen in other Main Street improvements across the country, is were we going to look at some sort of a local improvement levy so that the people who benefited from the infrastructure improvement would contribute in some way? Or if we weren't doing that, was there consideration for compensation? And what council ultimately decided is that we were not going to move forward with any type of local improvement levy. So this improvement would benefit the businesses along Saskatchewan Avenue, but we also weren't going to consider any type of compensation program. And through our budget speech and our planning, we've communicated that pretty clearly, but as the project comes closer and closer to your business, I think that those are questions you often have to ask. So I think while council understands and administration understands this does have impact on businesses, that there wouldn't be any type of compensation for those businesses. What I will say, and I know our mayor and council are champions of this, is we do ask our citizens to recognize that these are challenges facing these businesses, and if we can make the extra effort to support those businesses during this time. And again, this is probably the most disruptive year in terms of amount and construction. We do ask our citizens to do that. So I think you'll be seeing some messaging on encouraging people to do that. But again, we continue to try and improve our communication, and we continue to try and work with those business owners as best we can. I am always available to speak to those business owners, as is our director of operations, and I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Nathan. We really appreciate it.
That's it,
Anything else?
Councillor
No.
Porter? No?
I have actually a couple more questions, or a couple more comments, questions. One is in regard to the bike lanes. We have numerous questions how the bike lanes will be maintained during the winter, and will this be maintained better than the overpass on Tupper? Can anybody answer that one?
Mr. Pito?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Porter, I feel like it's a bit of a loaded question, but what I will say is that the Tupper overpass maintenance is the responsibility of the province, and I will let our Director of Operations speak to our plans to maintain the bike lanes that are being constructed currently.
So currently we're not planning to clear snow off of the bike lanes in the winter. We wanted to at least ease into the snow clearing efforts for now. We haven't seen a huge demand for a lot of winter cycling, and don't feel it would be cost effective to clean them for the few number of winter cyclers that we have at this time. It doesn't mean that we won't do it in the future, but we won't be doing it right away.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I believe that's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Porter. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety Committee has nothing to report tonight in committee.
Thank you. If there is nothing else, I just have one special congratulations to put out today, and that is for our youth counselor, Paige McCullough, who is graduating from PCI this Wednesday. We're very proud of you, and I know how hard you work to do your best in school, and you have big dreams for your future, and you're going to U of M, correct? So that's exciting, but we hope you have the best day on Wednesday, celebrating with all your peers, and 4 years of working hard at PCI just definitely deserves celebration, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're not done work here yet, though. You still have 2 more months, so. Awesome. Congratulations, Paige. And I will adjourn council at 7:28 p.m.